Penn State football betting on the upside of Anthony Donkoh, a three-star offensive line prospect from Virginia. A lot of interesting things in T. Frank's film room today. I'm your host, Thomas Frank Carr, and we'll address all those here to start. So the first thing is, and I believe I've said this on other film rooms before, but I will reinforce it here for people who are just tuning in and finding this for the first time, that this is a transparent process. I never want to... you can't be an expert and then be spewing BS and then have people believe you if you're wrong about something for a lack of information. And with Anthony, there's not a large catalog of available film. So we are going to look at this as a first reading of Anthony Donkoh from Light Ridge High School in Aldie, Virginia. And that is, I think, a fair assessment to start with. We want to see more in the future, and these are going to be questions that I have about things I don't know based on the limited number of available film, full games to watch. Because on T. Frank's Film Room, we go beyond the huddle highlights. This is going to be information that is not just what the athlete presents on his huddle film. It is all of it. Where is he good? Where does he need to work? What are some of the tendencies we can find outside of the 30 plays he shows? But there are not much more than that. So with Anthony, we are going to keep that in context. The other thing is that as the goal of this is to give you this is a perfect case study with Anthony Donkoh. Three-star athlete, offensive tackle, offered early in the cycle, accepted early in the cycle for Penn State, who's building their offensive line of the future. So what sort of three-star prospect is he? There's a lot of different types. Is he a raw athlete that is just phenomenally talented but doesn't know how to play football yet? Or is he a gutsy, high floor, low upside sort of player, or something in between? Maybe he's a young offensive lineman with a great frame that needs to grow into, and you just don't see what you need to yet. Penn State believes what they have in the 6'4", 310 pounds offensive lineman is a guy that is a dark horse in the recruiting process and is going to gain momentum heading into his senior season. So that's an important caveat too when we look at the On3 consensus. 517th overall player in the nation. Offensive tackle, he's ranked 38th. In Virginia, the state of Virginia, he's the 9th overall player in the On3 consensus. Again, he's a 3-star. I think, and again, you look at here, 38th offensive tackle in the nation. To me, that if he were an interior offensive lineman, he'd be ranked much higher. Much higher. But when you go outside and you're a tackle, especially considering Anthony plays guard in high school, and we'll get into some of the reasons of why, that is a harder bar to cross. So that kind of informs his profile to start. So let's get into the things that we absolutely know on the film that shows up in the highlights and also shows up in the games we have available to watch. First thing is 35-inch arms. That's why he's a tackle prospect. Good physical size, and at 310 pounds, that's a chiseled 310. This is a strong football player whose work ethic in the weight room is evident. The fact that he has very little wasted body mass, he is lean and expressive, and he uses all of that really well and has good pad level. So flexibility to get into a stance and to win with pad level is pretty clear, especially when you look at him as a defensive tackle. Just blowing people off the ball and getting tackles for loss. That is pretty evident in most of his film. Now watch this here. This is the first one off his huddle highlights. And I'm going to pause it because this is textbook technique of what you want from your offensive lineman. Do you watch, and I'll just roll it here a couple frames. Do you see how this defensive tackle, I should call him a defenseless tackle here, because he has the length and the leverage advantage to start because he's shorter. But Anthony is able to get underneath him and lift upward with good pad level, and those long arms, he strikes first and controls the block. Then you see him be able to lock out and use his whole body as a lever to then shove him downfield out of the back of the end zone. That's how you do that. Pad level, length, and power. All of that comes out here. You see it again. And a desire to dominate players. He is not satisfied just blocking guys. He wants to run you off the ball and does it from a technical and violent standpoint. As a defensive tackle, again, almost unblockable at times. Lots of sacks, tackles for loss. That's what you want to see. You want to see that consistency of impact plays because it shows you he's playing football the right way and not just playing against poor competition and using his size to dominate. There are some things we'll get into that when you have a very aggressive blocker that are going to be my questions going forward, but that pad level and strength, it enhances and expresses all of it. And the other thing is, our insider Ryan Snyder, talking to his high school coach, says that the reason he plays guard is because of his technical ability in their inside zone rushing system, which is what Penn State uses. So this is a great place to start and look at how he'll translate to the Nittany Lions at the next level. And spoiler alert, it's really good. So we're going to get into some of the technical aspects of blocking here in zone blocking. This first thing, look at his arm, extended. That's that 35-inch reach. That's the value of it as a run blocker. Makes initial contact. He has already won this rep. But what this is, that's not his block to start. This is what's called an inside zone. This is called a help block, where he is delaying the defensive tackle's penetration for the offensive tackle to his outside shoulder. That is number 56 on this play, which we'll roll ahead and you'll see here in a second. His job is just to delay that guy enough so that 56 can get contact. The goal, the best opportunity here, is for what's called a reach block at the tackle position. His job is to get to the second level and secure a linebacker while helping. And that's what he does here really well. He sets up the tackle, he gets to the second level, and now you can see him start to address his block. 56, whatever happens at the line of scrimmage, that's not his responsibility anymore. That's on his teammate next to him to secure that block. He gets to the second level after giving a great help block and secures his player. Here again, this is outside zone. Secure one guy, and then you see right there, help block, get to the second level, get to the linebacker. That is great stuff. That is something that Penn State needs on the offensive line. And then for fun, here's 75, the defensive tackle. Shove him again. Why don't we? Get to the second level, secure that block, throw him to the ground. And that's on an RPO. Here we have another inside zone, a good step, help block to the second level with some complicated footwork there because of the alignment of the defensive line. And then here's another one where he's able to get over, secure a player, and get to where he needs to be. So all of those really good examples of inside zone blocking as a guard. And that's the reason he's playing on the interior. But that length and that size, that is why he's going to be a tackle going forward and why Penn State sees him as an under-recruited sort of player. My questions come because a lot of his work is done between the tackles. So what does he look like in the open field? What does he look like when he's running, when he's open full steam? We know that he's got great pad level, great power through contact. But as a tackle, he's going to be out in space more. He's going to have to hit more mobile blocks. And I think he's good. There's some good stuff here on film where he's able to open up and at least, in the perimeter of the tackle box, get to where he needs to on time. Some of the issues here are being able to hit the target. Missed on that one. Here he is demolishing a linebacker on this play. I think it's the linebacker or the defensive end. You see, here's the linebacker. He's able to get that guy, and then he starts out into the open field. Here's another one where he's on a screenplay getting downfield. And this is where I see a little bit of stiffness once he opens up. I don't know that he runs great, but you're not going to ask him to run 40 yards on every single play. Here, he's an edge defender. I'd like to see a little more bend, a little more expressive ability to change directions. A lot of heavy-footedness on the defensive side of the ball, and he dominates. I mean, I'm not asking him to be an elite edge rusher. These are just the questions I have of I don't know what he looks like in space, and what I see of him in space is a little bit hit or miss. Sometimes literally with his blocks. So that's something I'm going to look for going forward if he plays outside next year for Lightridge. And then in general, just his athleticism. I see a little bit of stiffness that would make me wonder, as a pass protector, does he have that agility to block speed rushers? Because he's got the length and he's got the strength. So a couple of things inform what we're going to be looking at next, and that comes to the pass protection. So focused a lot on his run blocking, and that is primarily what his team does. So these are going to be, again, some in-depth stuff, individual game stuff when it comes to his pass protection. Let's look at the good stuff, because there is good stuff here from him as a pass blocker. The first thing is he is very active for the most part when it comes to if he sees his guy does not get there. He's able to get his hands on defensive tackles as a guard, and he stonewalls them. Great ability to absorb contact and then eliminate threats. That's when he's at his best. But you see here on that last play, very aggressive as a pass blocker, leaning forward. when you are a pass protector, and the reason you want 35, 36-inch arms for the truly extremes is because it's a defensive posture. You're up, you're back, you're sinking into your hips, you're sinking into a squat position so that you can absorb contact. It's about delaying instead of defeating. That's why you want those long arms, so that you can still make contact despite the fact that you are retreating. I mean, a kick slide is a uniform retreat. It's about delaying for enough seconds so the quarterback can get the ball out. And that's where I think we see a little, some of the issues with his pass protection. He's very aggressive. That same run blocking mentality starts to bleed over into his pass protection. And then when we have a smart player, as we've been talking about, I want to see some of the more advanced things. And then, of course, when it comes to pass protection and it comes to, what you see on a play, this is a very specific thing to this game, where this defense was dialing up some more advanced schemes and pressures. I've differentiated the blue outside and the white inside. These are the right side of the offensive line, the left side of the defensive line. And you can see there's an overload to Anthony Donkoh's side. 4 potential edge rushers versus 2. This, when we're looking at the pass blocking, it's important to know because pressure comes off of what could be his guy, the nose tackle off the center. But we see that most likely the pass protection is set to the left. So trying to discern the mental aspects of what happened here, he's probably looking to the outside. And you see that. His head snaps to the outside. Only 2 guys come. Nobody rushes. And then the center gives up a pressure to the interior. This isn't his play, but there is a little bit of a delay in where you would want him given a little bit of just body to help. He's giant. You'd want to give him just a little bit of body on that guy and then be able to go get his guy with athleticism. And what you see is a pressure here that I wouldn't say is his fault, but there's a lot of times where he's doing his job and then he's just not blocking anybody. At a certain point in this game, you just want him to block somebody. Here again, a late pressure. The defensive end, the outside linebacker standing up, does not come. They bring interior pressure. The running back picks this up, and I don't know the pass blocking scheme here, but this is another one of those situations. You see him look outside, and then they get through within a 4-man rush. I don't want to blame any of these on Donkoh specifically, but this is what we're seeing in this particular game. And again, here's that aggressiveness. You're pretty far outside. There's no longer a pocket. There is a hole. There's a bubble in the pocket. You usually want that to be a uniform thing, and this is a screen, so they should be aware of that. But this is a very aggressive move on a screen for Donkoh to go chase a guy and block him that way. And then here, one of the things I think, and this will transition into the next play you see here, and I'll roll this back again, is just it's balance issues, that aggressiveness, that on his toes, he tends to lunge instead of move his feet. Long legs, should be able to cover ground, but here you see him reaching out instead of moving his feet to get to the football. I mean, he's basically doing a split there for a second. So those are the things I'm looking at, and I want to see a little bit more of him play in space. I want to see a little bit more of him using athleticism, balance, and control. Those are in his athletic profile, some of the questions I have, because you can see the initial movements, the snaps, the things that you really want from an offensive lineman. Probably his 10-yard split is pretty good in a 40, but when you're looking at playing left tackle, elite athlete, what is that upside that Penn State sees that they wanted him? What is it going to take to get there? And here we have a rogue arrow, but he's playing over the center here. He's playing basically left guard on a field goal, and he's 310 pounds and he gets run over. Again, that's balance. That's not anything that has to do with his strength or a lack of performance ability. You see him kind of get upright too much, or a little bit late in downs, he tends to stiffen up and lose that initial balance and contact. So those are things I want to see going forward. Does he have that as a player that can be used in space? Is he going to be a guard going forward if none of those things clear up? And this is the good thing about Anthony Donkoh, is that either way, I think as an interior blocker, he's going to be great. And then as a tackle, he's got enough athleticism right now that he would be a good tackle. Then it becomes that 35-inch reach, the upper ends of that athleticism. This is where we're kind of nitpicking. This is where my questions are. Because right now he's the tackle in the 2023 class. So those are the things that are going to be expected of him going forward. And I think Penn State is correct. They've got a guy that's a dark horse in the recruiting process, somebody that is going to be a late riser, and especially if he plays at the position he's going to play going forward, that's going to give more information. That's going to give, especially if he goes on camp circuits and things like that and performs well, those are going to be things that make him stand out and make his tools and his evident power and strength and all those things accentuate those. But Penn State getting a good player with significant upside in Anthony Donkoh. That'll do it today for T. Frank's Film Room. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to the Blue White Illustrated Daily Edition on our YouTube channel. And of course, if you want T. Frank's Film Room, that is exclusive to the YouTube channel. So subscribe, hit the notification button, and we'll be back with the next T. Frank's Film Room.